The greatest danger to your power has never been your enemy standing in front of you. It has always been the storm inside your chest, your hunger to be loved, your fear of abandonment, your urge to matter to someone. These instincts feel human, even noble, but in reality they are restraints disguised as virtues. The world does not reward emotional openness. It studies it, memorizes it, and waits for the moment to turn it against you. Those who sense that you care have already found the handle they need to move you. This is the truth Machiavelli understood with ruthless clarity. He did not write for gentle souls. He wrote for those who wanted to survive where mercy was exploited and sentiment was punished. He warned that the man who feels too deeply becomes predictable, and the predictable are the first to be broken. People do not betray you because they are evil. They betray you because it benefits them. They smile while lying. They comfort you while calculating. And the moment they realize your heart is exposed, they begin to own pieces of you without asking permission. Emotional attachment creates leverage, and leverage invites control. There is only one escape from this trap, and it is not hatred or cruelty. It is detachment. Complete disciplined detachment. Not because you despise people, but because you value clarity more than comfort. Survival demands vision, not compassion. Power demands distance, not intimacy. This is not about becoming empty, it is about becoming unreadable. When you detach emotionally, manipulation loses its grip. Guilt no longer works. Provocation falls flat. Silence becomes a barrier that no one can climb. The instant you care too much, you reveal your pattern. Patterns can be studied. Patterns can be exploited. That is why those ruled by emotion are always outmaneuvered by colder minds. History is full of leaders who loved too deeply and forgave too easily, only to be destroyed by those they spared. Hesitation born from feeling has ended more reigns than rebellion ever did. Detachment gives you the ability to act when action is required, without the tremor of doubt. It allows you to cut away what threatens you without the poison of regret. This is not cruelty. It is command. Machiavelli admired men who eliminated danger before it grew roots, not those who mourned betrayal while sharpening the knife meant for their own backs. The world teaches you that kindness is strength and vulnerability is virtue. That lesson exists to keep you manageable. Real power has never been built on softness. It has always belonged to those who mastered their inner chaos and learned to use the chaos of others as a tool. Think carefully about every wound you have carried, every manipulation that succeeded, every promise that dissolved. None of it happened by accident. It happened because you expected loyalty where interests ruled. You hoped where calculation was needed. You invested emotionally before securing your position. Emotional detachment does not mean you stop feeling. It means you stop reacting. It means your anger no longer speaks for you. Your desire no longer rushes you. Your pain no longer steers you. You observe these forces as if they belong to someone else, and in that separation you gain control. The moment someone knows how you respond when you are hurt, excited, or afraid, they know how to lead you. That is why Machiavellian thought demands discipline of the inner world first. You cannot rule anything until you rule yourself. Peace belongs to those who remain sentimental. Power belongs to those who remain composed. When people approach you, ask yourself not how they make you feel, but what they cost you. Would they respect you without your warmth? Would they remain if you withdrew approval? If the answer is no, they are not allies. They are risks waiting for opportunity. Detachment clears your vision. Without emotion clouding judgment, you begin to see patterns you once ignored. The friend who appears only in need. The lover who retreats when you stop giving. The relative who trades affection for obedience. These dynamics survive only on your emotional participation. Withdraw it, and the truth surfaces. Detachment returns ownership of your time, your energy, your focus. You begin to move deliberately instead of reflexively. You act instead of reacting. This is what it means to be both lion and fox. The lion does not mourn. The fox does not rage. Both succeed because neither exposes intent through emotion. Most people cling to comforting illusions. They want to believe in permanent loyalty and sacred bonds. Machiavelli dismantled this fantasy. Loyalty shifts with advantage. Affection follows benefit. This is not corruption. It is human nature. The man who refuses to see this hands power to those willing to exploit it. Distance protects judgment. Emotional ties weaken it. When you allow attachment to dictate your choices, you hesitate when you should move, forgive when you should sever, depend where you should dominate. Love unrestrained becomes chaos, and chaos destroys rulers. Detachment is clarity. It strips away projection and replaces hope with observation. When betrayal comes, it does not shock you. It confirms what you already knew. You prepared for it. That preparation is power. Detachment does not isolate you. It selects. No one owns your emotions. No one governs your peace. You may connect, cooperate, even care, but never from need. Every relationship either strengthens your position or erodes it. There is no neutral ground. The detached man fears no loss, and the man who fears no loss cannot be controlled. This mindset is not taught because it produces independence. You were raised to please, to bond, to feel responsible for the emotions of others. To detach, you must unlearn obedience and rebuild your mind deliberately. Expect disappointment. Expect self-interest, not as bitterness but as armor. When you expect nothing, you lose nothing. Control your reactions. Pause where others explode. In that pause, power accumulates. Engage on your terms. Reveal less than you feel. Say nothing when silence unsettles. Mystery creates authority. The unreadable cannot be used. When you master this discipline, hesitation disappears. You walk away cleanly. You end conversations without explanation. You close doors without apology. Silence becomes your signature. People respect what they cannot penetrate. They fear what they cannot predict. Emotional detachment transforms you from participant to observer, from target to strategist. You no longer bleed for silence or chase reassurance. You remain steady while others unravel. This is the first threshold. Emotional detachment is not absence. It is dominance over the self. It is the foundation of every higher form of power. Once crossed, the world loses its grip on you, and the games that once controlled you begin to collapse. Once detachment takes root, something unsettling begins to happen. The world does not grow quieter, it grows louder, not around you but toward you. When you stop reacting, others grow restless. When you stop explaining, they begin to fill the silence with assumptions. This is where power starts to shift. Most people cannot stand emotional ambiguity. They need confirmation. They need feedback. They need to know where they stand. When you deny them that certainty, you take control of the dynamic without lifting a finger. Emotional detachment turns interaction into a mirror. Whatever chaos lives inside others begins to surface when they cannot read you. They project motives, fears, desires onto your silence. Some will attempt to provoke you, testing for a reaction. Others will overextend, offering more than necessary just to regain emotional footing. This is not coincidence. It is psychology. People are conditioned to regulate themselves through others. When you remove yourself from that system, they lose balance. This is why the emotionally detached individual appears powerful without effort. He does not need dominance displays. He does not argue. He does not correct misunderstandings. He allows misinterpretation to exist because clarity is a gift he no longer gives freely. The less people know about what you feel, the more energy they spend trying to decipher you. That energy belongs to you now. They waste it. You conserve it. Machiavelli understood that uncertainty breeds obedience faster than force. When people are unsure of your intentions, they behave cautiously. They measure their words. They hesitate before crossing lines. Not because you threaten them, but because they cannot calculate the consequences. Predictability invites challenge. Mystery invites restraint. Emotional detachment is the source of that mystery. There is a moment when you realize the power of withholding. Not withholding affection out of cruelty, but withholding access to your inner world. When someone speaks to you, they no longer receive instant emotional feedback. They do not know if they impressed you or offended you. This absence of validation forces them to adjust. Slowly, the one who once sought your approval becomes the one seeking stability in your presence. Control reverses. Detachment also sharpens perception. When emotion no longer distorts your view, patterns become visible. You notice who respects your boundaries and who resents them. You see who grows curious when you withdraw and who grows hostile. These reactions reveal intentions more clearly than any confession. People expose themselves when denied emotional access. Detachment turns behavior into evidence. This is where many fail. They confuse detachment with hostility and abandon the discipline. They fear appearing cold. They fear losing connection. But power is never gained by clinging. It is gained by choosing. You do not cut people off impulsively. You simply stop feeding dynamics that weaken you. You allow silence to do the work. Those who belong remain. Those who depended on your emotion disappear. Emotional detachment also frees you from urgency. Urgency is the enemy of strategy. When you care too much, everything feels immediate. You rush to respond, you rush to fix, you rush to explain. This haste creates mistakes. The detached mind moves slower but sees further. It waits while others panic. It allows situations to unfold before intervening. This patience unsettles people who rely on pressure to control outcomes. Power often belongs to the one who can wait. Waiting without anxiety, waiting without fear of loss. Emotional detachment gives you that ability. When you are prepared to lose anything, nothing can be taken from you. This readiness terrifies those who depend on leverage. They sense it. They feel that their usual tools no longer work. In negotiations, detachment is dominance. The one who needs the deal least controls the terms. The one who can walk away dictates the pace. Emotionally invested negotiators reveal desperation through tone, body language, and concessions. Detached negotiators reveal nothing. Their silence forces the other side to fill the gap, often against their own interest. This principle extends beyond business. It governs every exchange where value is contested. Detachment also reshapes your relationship with conflict. Insults no longer provoke defense. Criticism no longer demands rebuttal. You choose when to respond and when to let silence undermine the attack. Most aggression seeks engagement. When none is given, it collapses under its own weight. The emotionally detached individual denies adversaries the satisfaction of reaction. This denial is a quiet form of dominance. Over time, your presence changes. People sense restraint. They sense boundaries. You are no longer emotionally accessible on demand. This scarcity increases your perceived value. Just as attention loses value when given freely, emotional access loses impact when unguarded. Detachment creates rarity. Rarity creates importance. This does not mean you become distant from everything. It means you become deliberate. You decide where emotion belongs and where it does not. You invest selectively. You observe continuously. You act precisely. Emotional detachment is not numbness. It is control over exposure. As this discipline deepens, you stop needing reassurance. Approval becomes irrelevant. You are no longer governed by how others perceive you. You understand that perception is unstable and often manipulated. You anchor yourself internally. This internal stability is what others mistake for confidence. In truth, it is independence. Independence frightens those who rely on influence. They test you, they withdraw affection, they attempt guilt. When none of it moves you, they recalibrate. Some respect you more, others remove themselves. Both outcomes are victories. You lose nothing of value. This is the second threshold. Detachment not only protects you, it reorganizes the social landscape around you. People adjust to your presence instead of you adjusting to theirs. You become the constant. They become variables. And in any system, the constant defines the outcome. With detachment stabilized, a deeper shift occurs. You no longer experience relationships as emotional lifelines, but as arenas of information. Every interaction becomes data: tone, timing, absence, enthusiasm, avoidance. You stop asking how people feel about you and start observing how they behave when they think you are not watching. This is where emotional detachment transforms into psychological dominance. Because behavior never lies, but emotions constantly do. The detached man does not confront inconsistencies. He records them. He does not accuse. He remembers. He does not rush to resolve tension. He allows it to mature. While others scramble to restore comfort, he studies imbalance. This patience exposes character. When pressure rises, masks slip. And when masks slip, truth emerges without resistance. This is the advantage solitude and detachment give you together. You are no longer embedded in emotional chaos. You stand outside it, watching patterns repeat. You notice how praise makes some reckless, how rejection makes others desperate, how silence terrifies those who depend on attention. None of this surprises you anymore. Human behavior becomes predictable once emotion is removed from your own decisions. Machiavelli understood that power does not require constant action. It requires timing. The emotionally detached individual does not rush to correct outcomes. He waits until intervention is unavoidable. This delay magnifies impact. When you speak rarely, your words carry weight. When you act sparingly, your moves are remembered. Scarcity of reaction creates authority. Authority in this sense is not granted. It is assumed by those who feel your restraint. They sense you are not easily moved. That resistance creates hierarchy without declaration. People naturally defer to the one who does not seek their approval. This is not arrogance, it is gravity. Detachment also dissolves fear of loss. Fear of loss is the primary mechanism of control in relationships, institutions, and systems. When you fear losing someone, something, or status, your behavior becomes compromised. You negotiate against yourself. You tolerate disrespect. You justify imbalance. Detachment severs this leash. When you accept loss as neutral, you reclaim choice. This acceptance does not make you reckless. It makes you precise. You choose where to invest because you are no longer investing out of fear. You withdraw without drama because you are not trying to punish. You simply recognize when value has expired. This calm exit is more unsettling than confrontation. It leaves no emotional residue to exploit. As detachment deepens, you begin to control environments indirectly. Your presence alters behavior without instruction. Conversations slow down around you. People speak more carefully. They wait for cues you no longer give. This uncertainty elevates your position. You become the reference point others adjust to. This is not manipulation through deceit. It is influence through restraint. You are not forcing outcomes. You are allowing others to reveal themselves while you remain constant. Constancy is power. Emotional volatility is weakness. Detachment also sharpens self-command. You no longer indulge impulses that weaken you. You delay gratification effortlessly. You choose long-term advantage over short-term relief. This discipline compounds. Your mind becomes quieter, clearer, more lethal in its focus. You are no longer distracted by emotional noise. This clarity changes how you view success. You stop chasing visible wins. You prioritize positioning. You understand that appearing powerful attracts resistance, while being underestimated invites opportunity. Detachment allows you to operate without announcing intent. You let others misjudge you. Their misjudgment becomes your cover. Machiavelli valued this invisibility. He understood that overt power invites challenge, hidden power invites submission. When people cannot identify the source of influence, they cannot resist it. Emotional detachment is the foundation of this invisibility. It removes tells. It removes leaks. It removes urgency. Over time, people test less. They sense that pushing yields no reaction. They move on to easier targets. You become low friction and high consequence. This combination discourages interference. Power often functions by discouraging engagement rather than dominating it. Detachment also alters your relationship with identity. You stop defining yourself through roles assigned by others. You are no longer the friend who fixes, the partner who reassures, the colleague who accommodates. You become undefined. Undefined identities are difficult to manipulate. Labels create expectations. Detachment dissolves them. As you release these roles, you gain mobility. You can enter and exit situations without explanation. You are not bound by consistency. Consistency is predictable. Predictability is exploitable. Detachment gives you freedom to adapt without apology. This adaptability does not mean instability. It means strategic flexibility. You remain grounded internally while shifting externally. You choose when to engage, when to withdraw, when to advance, when to wait. This control over pacing separates operators from participants. Participants react. Operators design. Emotional detachment turns you into the latter. You are no longer consumed by events. You shape them through absence, silence, and timing. You become comfortable letting others act first. Their actions reveal leverage. Eventually, detachment becomes instinctive. You no longer force it. Emotional restraint feels natural. You are not suppressing feeling. You are prioritizing clarity. This internal alignment radiates outward. People sense coherence. Coherence commands respect. This is the third threshold. You are no longer defending against manipulation. You are no longer escaping emotional traps. You are now shaping dynamics before they form. Your detachment precedes conflict. It prevents it. You have become difficult to read, difficult to pressure, difficult to control. Not because you resist, but because you do not need. Need is the entry point of influence. Detachment closes the gate. At this stage, power is no longer something you seek. It is something others assign to you through their behavior. They adjust. You remain still. And in stillness, control consolidates. You're right. Thank you for calling it out. Detachment is not just a shield. Once mastered, it becomes a blade. When you no longer need emotional confirmation, you gain something rare and unsettling: influence without effort. Most people are governed by feeling. They react to silence with anxiety, to distance with fear, to indifference with obsession. When you remove emotional availability, you create a vacuum, and nature hates a vacuum. People rush to fill it with attention, effort, and submission. What they once withheld, they now offer freely. Not because you demanded it, but because they feel your absence as a loss of control. This is the reversal most never see coming. When you stop chasing, others begin orbiting. When you stop explaining, others start justifying themselves. When you stop reacting, others unravel, trying to provoke a response. Emotional detachment destabilizes those who rely on emotional leverage. It exposes insecurity, desperation, and hidden agendas. The more composed you remain, the more chaotic they become. And in that imbalance, power quietly shifts into your hands. The emotionally detached man does not dominate by force, he dominates by contrast. While others plead, he pauses. While others defend, he observes. While others confess, he remains unreadable. This silence becomes psychological pressure. People project their fears into it. They assume intelligence, intent, danger. They imagine strategies you never revealed. Your restraint amplifies your presence. You are not louder than the room, but the room bends around you. Most people mistake intensity for strength. They believe passion proves conviction. In reality, intensity reveals attachment, and attachment reveals vulnerability. The man who can remain calm when others are emotional is always perceived as superior, even if he says nothing at all. Calm suggests control. Control suggests power, and power, once sensed, reshapes every interaction before a word is spoken. This is why emotional detachment must be complete. Partial detachment is detectable. Hesitation leaks through the eyes, the voice, the posture. True detachment is not indifference, it is mastery. You still feel, but you do not display. You still care, but you do not cling. You still desire, but you do not chase. Your emotions exist privately where no one can access them. Publicly, you move with restraint and intention. Once you reach this state, relationships transform. Not because you manipulate people, but because people reveal themselves around you. Those who respected you only when you were emotionally available will fade. Those who depended on your reactions will grow hostile. Those who sought control through guilt will lose interest. And those who truly value strength will draw closer cautiously, respectfully, knowing you are not easily influenced. This is the final separation. You stop measuring yourself by how others respond. You stop needing reassurance that you matter. You stop explaining your silence. You stop correcting misunderstandings. You let people believe whatever makes them comfortable. Their beliefs no longer govern your behavior. You act from internal alignment, not external pressure. That is freedom. And freedom is the foundation of authority. At this level, betrayal no longer wounds, it informs. Rejection no longer hurts, it clarifies. Loss no longer devastates, it simplifies. Emotional detachment turns chaos into data. Pain becomes instruction. Disrespect becomes a filter. You do not spiral, you adjust. You do not seek revenge, you withdraw access. You do not confront, you remove yourself. And in doing so, you deny others the drama they crave. The greatest fear in emotionally driven people is irrelevance. When you detach, you become unreachable. When you become unreachable, you become significant. Your absence carries weight. Your silence lingers. Your presence becomes selective. And selectivity is power. The man who can walk away without emotional residue cannot be threatened. He cannot be bargained with. He cannot be controlled. This is the final form of emotional discipline. You no longer announce your boundaries, you embody them. You no longer warn people, you let consequences speak. You no longer explain your standards, you enforce them through distance. Those who align remain, those who don't disappear. And you feel nothing either way because your stability no longer depends on outcome. This is not emptiness, this is sovereignty. You have not shut your heart down. You have locked it behind a gate only you control. You decide who enters. You decide how close they come. You decide when it opens and when it closes, and because that control is absolute, no one can reach you without permission. That is the end of emotional manipulation. That is the end of leverage used against you. That is the moment you become untouchable. And once you reach this point, there is no return to the old way of living. You see too clearly. You move too deliberately. You understand too much. The world does not change. People do not become kinder. But you become immune. This is the Machiavellian truth few are ready to accept. Power does not come from being loved. It comes from being unreachable, from being calm when others are desperate, from caring less than those who want something from you, from mastering yourself so completely that no one else ever can. And when you reach that state, you do not need to announce it. They will feel it.